Greetings, one and all. Greetings, one and all. Let me take off my glasses so I can look cute. Ooh, looking cute. How are y'all doing this fine Monday night? I wanted to talk with you about a project that I'm just at the beginning of, and I feel so. Who's speaking? Adrian. Hey, Adrian, how are you doing? Good to see you. I'm afraid I'm gonna knock this phone down if I press this wave. Tap the wave. Okay, I didn't knock the phone down. I really need to bring my stand for my phone, but I'll get, done is better than perfect. So we just have to power through sometimes. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Treasure Shields Redmond, and I am a poet, performer, educator, oral historian, culture keeper, and dual citizen of Meridian, Mississippi, the Queen City, and East St. Louis, Illinois. And, I just wanted to talk with you all about the work I do as executive director of the Community Archive, located at thecommunityarchive.org. And it's an oral history nonprofit and a place for us to archive African American histories. Hey, how you doing? Join me. So I'm at the beginning of a project that I am so intrigued with and excited by. And, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what's better than being Black. Can y'all tell me what's better than being Black? Because it is just, I am so charmed and fascinated by Black people. So this latest project that, like I said, I'm just at the beginning of, and I just applied for funding to embark on through Princeton's Community Stories Fellows opportunity. So there is a center that kind of focuses on spirituality, religion, and ideas about the big questions, the big philosophical questions. And it's called the Black House through Princeton. And I hope I'm saying that right. I may not be saying the right thing, but irregardless, that's not a word, y'all. But irregardless, Princeton had a call to community story tellers and story keepers and archivists to add to this incredible tapestry we have in the U.S. about religion, and specific to your place, your community. And here recently, it came to my attention through one of my other sessions, which is hoodoo. I asked my 86-year-old father, who was the root worker? Who was the hoodoo person in East St. Louis, Illinois, when he was a child? He was born in 1937. And he said, Miles Davis's aunt. He said, Miles Davis's aunt. She had a shop with a hand on it, and we used to go to the other side of the street. We were a little scared of her. And I don't know if you don't know me well, but I'm all about Black women being scary. I'm all about Black women. When he said we were a little scared of her, I was like, oh, I need to know this woman. So fast forward a little while later, maybe a year or so, there is a neighborhood barbecue. And these family members are friends of my family. And that family is also friends with Miles Davis's family. If you don't know, Miles Davis went to high school in East St. Louis, grew up from childhood. After moving from, I believe, Alton, he went to elementary and high up through high school in East St. Louis, Illinois, and received his most formative jazz instruction in East St. Louis, Illinois, and across the river in St. Louis, Missouri. So Miles Davis's daughter was there. And we sat down and we talked a little bit. And I asked her about her aunt, who I found out was Aunt Corrine. And she said, "Oh, yeah, Aunt Corrine. She had an office right next to my grandfather's office." Miles Davis's father was a dentist, and he was a pretty well-off Black man who had gone to Northwestern. And Miles Davis actually went to Juilliard. Juilliard just couldn't take the doll. They couldn't take him. So he had to shake loose from Juilliard. But she said that her aunt, Corrine, had an office right across. You walked up a set of steps, and on one, you could turn to the left and go to the dentist, or you could turn to the right, and you could go see the metaphysician, clairvoyant, astrologer, and divine healer, Dr. Corrine. And so I said, "Oh, okay, so this exists, this is happening." And then I went back through the Miles Davis memoir and saw about a page that he dedicated to his Aunt Corrine. And he said she was weird than a motherfucker. She would be in there lighting candles and smoking cigarettes. And she had an office that said healer and something else with the hand, like my dad reported from his childhood. And so then I said, well, let me go, because I found out that she advertised and had a column as part of her business model. She was a businesswoman, a professional. And she advertised in a newspaper, an African-American newspaper called The Crusader. And The Crusader is no longer being published in East St. Louis. But you have to go to the libraries and find the microfilm. So, y'all, I was in a 1980s journalist drama. I was over there on the microfilm machine, honey. And I pulled up the Crusader magazine, which was published from 1948 to 1942 to, I think, the early 80s, even though the libraries are saying it's the early 70s. Hi. If you're just joining me, I'm talking about Miles Davis's aunt, who lived in East St. Louis, Illinois. And starting in the 1940s, she advertised her business as a metaphysician, clairvoyant, astrologer, and divine healer in East St. Louis, Illinois. And so I found the articles and the advertisements, and it was thoroughly fascinating. It was very fascinating to me. It's fascinating how these doctors, and I don't know, I mean, her brother went to Northwestern. It is possible that she did have a PhD in something. But in my other ancestral home, Meridian, Mississippi, there was a Dr. Dixon, and he was the root doctor in that community. And if you study hoodoo, you know there was a Dr. Buzzard. And in Memphis, there was a Dr. Champion. Some of these people had medical training, but all of them were kind of metaphysicians. But anyway, Dr. Corrine, as she advertised herself in the Crusader magazine, Dr. Corrine could help you find lost items. Dr. Corrine could reunite you with long lost relatives. Dr. Corrine could remove blockages that were keeping you from getting a job. And she held prayer clinics every week she held prayer clinics. And I went back through my Zora Neale Hurston foundational article, Hoodoo in America, and she had this section where she talked about the turn from explicit hoodoo to what she called spiritualism. Spiritualism. And usually when I think of the word spiritualism, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Houdini, like early 20th century white people doing seances, that sort of thing. And that was the character of some of the Black spiritualism. But the Black spiritualism, as Zora Neale Hurston described it, seemed to more be a way to practice hoodoo and other African inflected spiritualities with a heavier cover of Protestant Christianity on top of it, with more welcome from Protestant Christian community. And I noticed that she used what would be typical religious language to talk about some pretty fantastic offerings, some pretty miraculous offerings from her slate of services that she offered. So I am interested in doing three things. I'm interested in reconstructing her spiritual memoir. I would like to, if I can, find out when she was first gripped by the realization of her talent and interest in this area, if there were particular deities that she worked with, if there were other religious systems or spiritual systems that she studied or employed. I'm also fascinated by her relationship with her brother. Miles Davis wrote in his memoir that his brother, his father, and his aunt were really, really close, which I see evidence in that you could go to his office, or you could go across the hall and go to his sister's office. So you could get your teeth worked on, or you could go across the hall and get your soul worked on, or other people's souls. And I think it's fascinating that as a man of science, the dentist, that he spent most of his days next to his beloved sister, who was a raging eccentric by all accounts. So I'm interested in that spiritual memoir. I'm also interested in talking to and collecting the oral histories of people who interacted with Dr. Corrine. Is there anyone living who received her services, who she helped find a job, who she helped find a long lost loved one, who she helped remove blockages in their lives, who participated in a prayer clinic, who was prayed for by Dr. Corrine? I'd love to get those stories. And of course, I want to digitize separately all of her articles, all of her columns and advertisements to make a visual archive. So I want to kind of reconstruct it with the spirituality at the center, reconstruct her import, her importance in the East St. Louis spiritual community, and really in the U.S. Black community of spiritual thought, religious thought, philosophical thought at large. So y'all wish me luck with getting the funding for what promises to be an incredible ride, learning about Dr. Corrine. But I came on here to say that one of the things that archivists do is recover histories and recover those social histories, those personal histories, the histories of the people who may not have may not be in your Encyclopedia Britannica, may not be on your wall of important Negro firsts or African American firsts, but whose existence really played a big part in the communities that have shaped um, Black people's importance in this country. I mean, the fact that Miles Davis, who is arguably the greatest jazz musician to have ever lived, that one of his rearing influences was a metaphysician, clairvoyant, astrologer, and divine healer. Those are the words that were used to describe her in her articles and advertisements. It's not lost on me because music is divinely healing and music is very metaphysical. So it's a fascinating lineage that we all are a part of. So I was doing some research about the archives of women and the histories of women, and I found out that there was an archive that was started in the 40s by two white women, and they decided that they would talk about all the important women. And these women, it actually was started in the 30s, I think. It may have lasted to the 40s. It didn't last very long, but these women were contemporaries of Mary McLeod Bethune, and they were contemporaries of Mary Church Terrell, and they were contemporaries of some incredible Black women who had done incredible things. Mary McLeod Bethune founded an HBCU, Bethune-Cookman College, right there on the beach in Florida. She started a girls' school, sold pies, became a person who sat at the table with FDR and became a very close friend of FDR's wife. And these two women who put together this archive did not even include any women of color, no African American women, no Asian women, no Native women, um, no Latin women, and the women that they did include were all attached to very famous spouses. So they were like the rich wives of rich men. That's what they considered important history. And I don't want to demean anybody's importance because of the choices they made or didn't make. But I do find it fascinating that you would be a contemporary of so many women who were institution builders and women of color, but you only choose to archive the history of women who were lucky enough at that time to marry Rockefeller, Astor, and all the other big Carnegie, the other big names that we see on libraries and foundations because their descendants are still wealthy. So being an archivist and being someone who is a person of color presents a special opportunity for inquiry, for discovery, and for legacy building for those who come after us. So I would like for you all to go to thecommunityarchive.org. And I would like for you to join the next class that's going to happen in January, Tuesday night, 7 Central. I can't remember what the date. Oh, January 9th. January 9th, Tuesday, January 9th. So I'm giving you all the first week to get over your hangover from turning up from New Year's. And then I want you to come the next week on a Tuesday, and let's talk about how to position our archival work and our oral history collection work in a way that is a Black feminist way. Ew. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me. And I will see you good people next time. Don't forget to go to thecommunityarchive.org.